Hey, so I'm just having a bit of an existential crisis at the moment, just thinking about things, obviously, just reading things and getting annoyed with things. And yeah, it's just, look, there's nobody more repressed than women, right? And any like man who has all this femininity and wants to be a woman, he wants boobs and he wants a vagina, he wants rid of his penis and all that. They're not repressed, they're not oppressed, they're not in danger, there's nobody, they're not vulnerable, they're men who want something else, they're just a different type of man. There's men out there that think, well, most men actually think that women owe them something, and it's not their fault. You know, there's the masculine, manly man that we mostly know, you know, taking what they want from whoever they want, not just women but men as well, but mostly women, because they're just, I think everybody's just brought up knowing that women are the weaker sex and they're below, and that men are dominant and they're the breadwinners and they're the alphas and all that lot. So it's just something that men know, or men are naturally brought up to know, and women and naturally, it's like I say naturally by fed, just by society and by just normal things going on, that women are weaker and men are stronger. So that's where we are. And so there's this new wave of man. So there's men, you know, beating up women, violent, angry, aggressive, competitive. I mean, I'm not all men are like that, but they're kind of the traits of man, the aggression, and it's however it comes out, you know, through sport or, you know, domestic abuse. I mean, it's not, because my husband's nothing like that. But don't get me wrong, you know, he makes sexist jokes, and sexist jokes are sexist jokes like every other joke. They are. But it's just, it comes from somewhere that the sexism exists. It's there. So that, you know, women are below, women are this, they're controlled, they're put, and you look at religion. I mean, if you're a Christian and believe the Bible, Eve was put on this earth for Adam, for his entertainment, for him. She was secondary. It was all about him, and that's how religion goes. Women are inferior. There is no religions that empower women. I suppose there's like Wiccan and things like that. Which, you know, and I've been watching things about the witch trials and stuff, and that's exactly what the witch trials were. They weren't any witches, they were just women who were free thinkers and asked questions, and the men wouldn't have it. They're the dominant, and they can't have women asking questions and knowing things. So they called them witches, they created witches, and they killed them. So women would stop talking, and that was their age. Now there's a new age of, you know, domestic abuse and violence and stuff like that. But like I said, I've got no experience with that, but I can see what's going on. And it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, you know, like I say, males have just been conditioned that they are stronger and they need to put women down. And it's scary, because I've got a 13-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son. So I now have to, I thought I'd just, like with me, just let life happen. You learn things through society and natural. But Christ, I don't want that. My son needs to be taught that he is not superior to women, even though he thinks he is. And you know what? Society says he is, because there's no equal pay. Men can have whatever they want, whenever they want. If they want to join women's sports, they can. They just identify as women. If men want to be treated better when it comes to serving their crimes, they claim to be women. So they go to women's prison, where they'll dominate. Maybe they're not all violent, but they will dominate in a women's prison. They're stronger, the women will fear them, they will have a much pleasanter experience in a woman's prison, because I think the majority of the guards are females. So win-win for them, they're going to love it. So why wouldn't most men who are about to serve whatever sentence in a prison claim to be a woman? No one's allowed to argue that anymore, so they'll get a much easier time in prison. Why wouldn't they? As a woman, if I identified as a man and committed a crime, my God, I would revert back to being a woman straight away. I'm not going to a man's prison. And I'm sure most women who have transitioned into being a man, I'm sure they'd do the same thing. They would not go into a man's prison. So that absolutely puts the whole thing down the shitter, the crapper. It's whatever prison you want to go to, really. That's how it is. You know, so anyway, there's that. And I'm just, yeah. So my thing is, you know, all this feminism and oppression and stuff. It's just a new wave of it happening, and it's absolutely makes me want to cry what's going on. Just because just the other day I was at a shopping centre, and I was just walking along listening to my music. My daughter was shopping with her friend, and I was just walking along the food court, and there was a guy sat there, and he just stared at me way too long. And look at me, I'm not anything to be stared at. So that makes me think he stared at every woman too long. And you might think, oh, he's allowed to look. There's looking and there's staring. And this guy stared and made me so uncomfortable. I had to look away. And I know my looking away didn't make him look away. He just kept staring. And I walked away, and I just thought, oh God, that was so violating and disgusting. I felt really bad. And then I've got my 13-year-old daughter with her friend walking around. I felt sick. He's definitely going to do it to them and make them feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't matter. He can do what he wants. He's entitled to stare. He's entitled to say to me, smile, beautiful, you'll make more friends. Smile, it costs nothing. Like I owe him. That's what men are like. That's the sort of next step. Because I actually thought afterwards, if I'd have just said to him, have you got a problem? What are you staring at? He said, oh, I'm just staring at you. I think you're pretty. Anything like that, and it would have been me that's at fault here. He thought I was pretty, so he's allowed to stare at me. So I would have been made to feel like shit because I didn't like him fucking staring at me for too long. And I thought about that, and it absolutely made me cringe with sickness. That is absolutely right. If I'd have pulled him up on it, he would have made me feel like I should have taken it as a compliment. And that's what men do. All men, actually. I'm sure my husband doesn't do it, but I can't say he doesn't. I'm sure he hasn't. I'm sure he has in his time. Stared at women too long, wolf whistled a woman, given a woman unnecessary attention that she doesn't want or need, but men feel like they're entitled to that. And it's absolutely scaring me. It's always been there. But just recently I've noticed it, and I think more women need to notice it, more men need to notice it. If a man sees a man staring at a woman, needs to do something about it, needs to say something, needs to pull them up. We need to teach our kids that that's not normal. It's not normal, and it's not right. And it's just gross. That's what sort of sparked this on. Just the stories of women, and you may read it and think, oh God, they're reading too much into this. Women are just acting too fragile. I absolutely think women aren't acting on what's going on enough. They're not. And we need, and the women who support these men who claim to be transgender. I say claim because some men just claim to be women so they can go into women's prison and rape women, or they claim to be women to go into women's toilets and rape girls and women. And it's happening. No matter how much these women cry and bleat on about that these men who identify women are not predators. Well, no, they're not all predators, but some of them are. And let's face it, most men are predators towards women than the other way around. So we are entitled to be absolutely frightened about what's going on. So these women that are supporting all these men identifying as women, saying it's their right, they're more feminine. Be kind, be nice, because that's what women are. We're nice and kind. So that's why they're supporting these men. But eventually they are going to realise that these men are just taking something else from us. It's a new wave of it. A different type of man, but they're taking the same thing. Anything they can and want from women, that's what they're doing. That's what they're always going to do, men, until we put a stop to it, until we say no, stop bloody doing this. We don't want this. It's never acceptable, and we need to fight and we need to stand up against it. So, yeah, that's where I am this morning. I don't know. Obviously, I'm heading to work, but I'm definitely going to. I need to do some more feminist reading, some more to get things out there, to talk to people I know, and we need to talk about it. I need to get more women who don't talk about this right now, or don't even know about it. We need to talk about it, and that's what I'm going to look more into it? How do we campaign for change? How do we campaign to stop what's going on? I'm not saying stop men identifying as women. There are some men out there with genuine mental problems that need help, but we need to stop what's happening around that, the ideology that's going on around it. That's just it's detrimental to women. It's killing women. They say that, you know, there's trans suicides, you know, from women, or anybody saying a man can't be a woman is causing suicides. Well, I think maybe women don't commit as many suicides based on the fact that men are taking over and ruining their lives and spaces. I think just less women are committing suicide because they're a bit stronger, and we have children to think about. We have a husband to think about, and I don't mean that in an oppressed way. I actually love my husband, and I have to think about him. I actually do think he'd be devastated if anything happened to me. So I wouldn't do anything like that. So I think women are generally stronger in that department. So yay, win for women. So yeah, more education for me and everybody is where I am with that. So anyway, I'm going to work.